Welcome to the Transforming Healthcare Coaching Podcast, where we bring you guidance and coaching perspectives so that you can level up in your life and work.
Welcome to the Transforming Healthcare Coaching Podcast. I'm Klaus Grimm, your host for today's episode on learning about what coaching is and is not, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Our mission at Transforming Healthcare Coaching is to revolutionize healthcare by empowering clinicians and leaders like you to thrive both at work and in life. Each week, we'll dive into valuable insights, feature expert interviews, and offer practical advice from our diverse team of energy leadership coaches. We are all trained through the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching, otherwise known as IPEC, and utilize the Energy Leadership Index to help you gain awareness and support your growth. What sets us apart? We serve everyone in healthcare, from executives to physicians to nurses to support staff. We believe everybody is a leader in their own right, and we're here to raise the consciousness and personal and professional development of everyone in the healthcare community. So whether you're facing challenges in well-being, performance, transitions, or leadership, we understand what you're going through because we've been there too. I'm excited to introduce to you one of our guest speakers today, Griselda. Griselda, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Griselda Anguiano. I'm excited to be here. I'm a general pediatrician and have been focusing on mental health since 2019. I live in San Antonio, Texas with my husband of over 18 years and two awesome teenagers who keep us busy. I came across coaching as I was searching for tools to support my patients and more specifically to support parents while raising their neurodiverse children. I had heard of coaching, but little did I know the transformative impact that would provide for not only my patients and their families, but my own life.
Thank you, Griselda. Before we jump into our topic today, I'll share a little bit about myself. I'm Klaus Grimm, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm an energy leadership coach through Transforming Healthcare Coaching. I work as an emergency medicine and urgent care physician assistant in Boston and also serve as a preceptor for PA students. My journey in healthcare has been a mix of fulfilling moments and challenges, and it's these experiences that fuel my passion for coaching. Through coaching, I found guidance during tough times, reconnecting with my core values and goals. And now as a coach, I'm really passionate about helping healthcare professionals like you tap into your full potential, finding balance and achieving growth, and really helping you thrive both personally and professionally. So, Griselda, let's dive into today's topic. We often hear the term coaching, but what does it truly mean? I know from experience when I talk to a lot of healthcare workers about what it is that I do outside my clinical work, that the word coaching has different meanings. How would you explain what coaching is?
Yeah, so coaching with healthcare professionals or anyone, it's establishing that partnership. It's when we meet, say, what would you like to talk about today? And then we really get into finding a solution as far as being really specific about a goal that each client wants to talk about. And we use it as having a solution based on the questions that we're asking.
I love that. This partnership that you get to work one on one with somebody and partner with them on your unique goals. And so I think that's something that I talk to my healthcare workers very similarly about when they ask me what it is that I do as a coach. And it's that I get to work with you specifically on what it is that you're looking for, what challenges is you're experiencing. And it's in a very confidential space and freeing space where you can say anything and everything, and we are constantly making progress and forwarding the actions that we're trying to have. So I'm curious then, based off of what coaching is, how would you say coaching differs from mentoring, consulting, and even therapy?
Oh, good question. And it comes up a lot for me, especially focusing on mental health. So I'll start with that part. I love the analogy of therapy is like looking into your rearview mirror, like going into the past and what's going on and why did that happen? And then coaching is like looking through your front dash, the front window. There's so many possibilities. And yet you can see that there's a potential problem or a problem that's come up in your life before. And you can say, hey, I see that. And I can choose to go a different way. So I feel that part of it from therapy, from mentors, I usually say that they're going to provide that guidance grounded on their own professional journeys or their specific expertise versus consultants being, they're the specialist. They're going to say, okay, this is what you got to do, use these methods, but yet maybe not hold you accountable. And again, contrasting this with coaching, it's holding your hand in a way and saying, okay, what exactly? And when we meet again, it's going to be what worked or what didn't work. And if it didn't work, that's okay. Well, where else would you like to go after that?
I love that. And another thing I'll even add on to that is a lot of these other things like mentoring, consulting specifically, it's a lot of times giving advice, which is not something we do from a coaching perspective, which you may be like, well, how can you really help me if you're not giving advice? And there is something so empowering about coming up with an answer yourself. They always say that when you start to give people answers, if you took an exam and somebody just gave you the answer, you didn't come up with that thought process to really understand why that answer is the correct answer. Right? It's the same thing with coaching and leading your own life. If somebody's constantly doing the work for you, how are you going to be able to manage that in the future if you're presented with a similar challenge? Griselda, I know it's not a question we prepared for, but you have this incredible background as a mental health pediatrician. And so I'm curious to see how is it that you work with your clients on a coaching model, but oftentimes have some underlying mental health issues that sometimes maybe therapy could address better?
Definitely. And that question comes up all the time as well. One, many of my clients will say, gosh, this therapy is so different, or this therapy really works. And the way I tell them, I said, well, coaching is not therapy, but it is therapeutic. So I thinking with my clients, a lot of times they may need some therapy if they can't have that growth mindset to say, this is where I'd like to go and create those goals to move forward, then they may need to have therapy, especially if there's some significant trauma or they're persistently having difficulty, especially getting out of bed or doing kind of those activities of daily living. They may need more specific targeted support with therapy and perhaps medication. But now coaching, and that doesn't mean that they can't have a coach along with their therapist. They may want to take advantage of getting coaching in a different part of their lives. And then when ready, of course, right? When they're in the right mindset or there's a new topic that they want to discuss. This class, we always say, it's just, what would you like to talk about today? And something comes up and we just go forward holding that space for them.
That makes complete sense. And I think that is a common issue that a lot of healthcare workers, and I know, for instance, I struggled with was when did I need to say, maybe I need a therapist or maybe I need a coach? Because we all have some issues that need to be worked on, right? And is it something that I want to continue to dig on and unlock from the past? Or is it something that I want to move on from and move forward with and know that I want to take these steps to moving beyond? But you're right. That's sometimes something we have to address to our clients is if they aren't able to move forward with a certain challenge they may be experiencing, we sometimes do have to recommend that they see a therapist or seek mental health services. So I'm curious. So obviously, the work that we do, Griselda, is for healthcare workers. We are healthcare experienced, and we still practice clinically. So how can we help our healthcare workers in this? So I'm curious, when might a healthcare worker benefit more from coaching than therapy?
The more and more that I spend time with coaching, I see how beneficial it is. If you ask the question, okay, where would you like to be 5 years from now, 2 years from now? So we use as the visioning so much. They could see the vision and they can see the possibility that something else can be, then it's a lot different. So sometimes it's just creating that vision. Let's now start creating from there, the mission and the goals. And if they can move forward, they're ready for coaching. And I think the coaching can help with coming from just with considering my niche of parenting. And if you are comfortable and are being the parent you want to be, the parent that your children need you to be, then it's going to be so much easier for you to show up at work. And the way I even tell my own kids, it's I want you to be in relationship with us at the home, just like the way I want you to be in relationship when you're out there, in your work or school or however. So I think it's a win when we're getting coached to say, I want to be just a better me. How can I show up energetically, anabolically, and just authentically?
Yeah. I know we're going to touch on this next week on our topic of when to get coaching, but this was extremely helpful. When you're ready to see the future, ready to see the vision,
Mhm.
and obviously coaching can help with what that vision may look like. And, again, that partnership with somebody to keep you moving in that direction. And what's interesting with coaching too is you may be coming in with, how do I be the better self, as you just mentioned, but so many things can happen as a result of that. And another question that's coming up for me now is there are so many people out there that are doing coaching. What sets our coaches as energy leadership coaches different from other coaches out there?
For one, I think our background coming from healthcare that we do know what others are doing. Of course, our courses, our lives have been different. So it's no one's going to be just the same. But it was hard. It was hard applying to go into school. It was hard. You were trying to raise a family while you were getting training. The student debt that we've got, it's just so much, right? So that part of it sets us aside. And then as far as the training, I can't really speak for all the other different types of training modalities that are out there. But I know with the training we have, just really keeping it from the client's perspective. We are not the expert as far as we really focus on asking empowering questions. But the way you were saying earlier, if you get to come to that idea, there's buy-in. And if there's buy-in, now there's that engagement. And if you say, I choose to do something different, then that's great. And even if many people say they're not leaders, I'm not the C-suite or I'm not a leader. But the truth is, we're all leaders. We're leading our families. We're leading, even if it's your division or if it's your household or however, we're all leaders.
That's amazing. And coming from that healthcare background, serving healthcare workers, I think even when you choose a therapist, you're looking to see if that person's relatable to you, whether they're, say, you're LGBT and struggling with LGBT issues. Oftentimes people look for a LGBT therapist who can relate to them. And I think that is why we all went through this niche with coaching is that we have that relatable aspect to healthcare workers, but we also are truly passionate about our healthcare community. We truly do enjoy working with each other. And I think you touched on it perfectly too, is may not be as familiar with the other coaching modalities, but what true coaching is that we don't give advice. We help you come up with that answer yourself because of that empowered nature of it. And we've experienced it ourselves. Otherwise, we wouldn't be preaching it. And I think also what sets us apart is all our coaches graduated from a very well known coaching program called IPEC. And we follow this kind of energy leadership index model of doing things. And I think you touched on it naturally there was with the leadership part. And that's something I struggled with for a while is that, well, I never felt like I was a leader. I'm a clinician, but I don't hold a supervisor position. But we're all leaders within our own lives. And when you follow that kind of idea, you can structure and format the life that you want to have. And through that coaching partnership, it can happen. And when we talk about energy, we don't talk about that cliche model of energy that some people envision when they think of energy. We think of energy as how are you experiencing life? Where are you more what we call catabolic, more destructive with certain parts of situations or aspects of your life? Or are you more anabolic? And where is it that you want to be? We say that all energy has its purpose. So sometimes catabolic energy is necessary in certain situations, but it's unique to everybody. And figuring that stuff out is so important and was transformative for me. I don't know how you can speak to that part of our coaching program. We had to take this energy leadership index assessment that we have all our clients do. I'm just curious what ideas or what transformation happened for you when you went through that?
Well, for me, it's very surprising to find when I'm stressed where I'm showing up. And obviously, it was in alignment with the assessment was showing. But yet, for me, it was like, what? I'm victim. I come from conflict. Like, no, that's not me. I love and I serve and I care. So I think that's where most of us get into this field of medicine just because we come from a start. But what was a light bulb moment was seeing how when that level 4, that care, compassion, service, the downside to it, that's where a burnout comes. And that's where we can quickly dip in. versus saying, okay, how do we approach this differently? And so I've had multiple healthcare workers that I've been able to have the opportunity to coach. And that comes up a lot, right? They say, no, but I'm coming because I care. Like, okay, well, let's dissect this a little bit. And once you really get into the coaching, you start to talk the language. You start to learn as now we're more comfortable with where you coming from a level 1, from a level 2. The clients love that, to learn how to do that. And that way, in the moment, you get to choose how you want to change your response when you're with a patient or when you're with one of your colleagues. What do you want to do differently?
It's so interesting how we name the energy levels. We have 7 levels of energy. And as you go up on the energy levels, the more anabolic we like to say. We don't like to say anything's more positive or negative, but in essence, more positive in nature. And it's interesting that even though it is more of an anabolic energy, where you had just mentioned, for instance, we talk a lot about level 4, where healthcare workers seem to sit. And it's interesting because everybody who takes the assessment has different levels of energy in which they show up on an everyday life or when they're under stress. But usually on a day to day life, everybody's is completely different. But it's so interesting that level 4, for instance, has some negative effects. So though you may be a very caring person, and that's what brought you into the field of medicine and how you act in day-to-day life, but there are some cons that can be attributed to it. If you're not aware of it, you can get burnout. You can start to dip down to those lower energy levels. And when we debrief our clients on these results, it is completely different for everybody, in which unique within each energy level, what's showing up for them and what differences that they want to make in their own life. But what's also interesting too is when you're under stress, usually everybody's pretty shocked when they start to see where their energy levels are. But it's also very interesting that a lot of people are very similar in this nature. A lot of people are very catabolic when they're under stress. They play the victim mode or they get really angry. And a lot of my clients like to focus on that as being a topic of change within that they want to make. They start to realize, hey, I'm really angry at work when this situation happens. And so they name the stressor, which is huge. And then they name the energy that is showing up for them. So now you have this awareness. Now it's time to take action.
I love that. And especially when you ask someone, okay, what do you feel about this or what's happening with this? If they're feeling at the victim or conflict, what are you losing? What's it costing you to stay there? So for me, when I was going through the ELI, the debrief, it was more, okay, well, if I have less of this, then I have more room for this more anabolic level. And that's empowering when we can choose where we can show up.
I love that. We can choose the way we show up. So thank you, Griselda, for today's talk. And we will be diving more into the coaching realm and helping people understand a little bit about what it is that we do.
Thank you so much for listening to the Transforming Healthcare Coaching podcast. If you found this episode interesting or useful, please share this with your friends and colleagues in healthcare. And we will love it if you hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Leave us a review on wherever you are listening to us. It means a lot to us, and we actually read every comment. Also, we want to help with the topics and problems that you want us to talk about. Email us with suggestions, feedback, and praise at podcast@transforminghealthcarecoaching.com. If you want deeper support for your life and work as a healthcare clinician and leader, head over to transforminghealthcarecoaching.com and see how we can partner together to meet your goals. Download your copy of our free 5 reflection questions to jumpstart your journey as you level up in your life and work, and get on our email list. Be the first to know about our coaching programs and what's coming. Together, we can transform healthcare, one person at a time.